Is a global village in front of me. In a second, I'll introduce myself and just say something about the proceedings we're about to take. My name is William. I'm from QED Training, and I'm speaking today from Preston in Lancashire. This is a global village, though, and I'll be saying more about data protection and the global village and the international dimension a little later. You've probably already heard that this is being recorded, and we are required under United Kingdom law, and it applies in other countries, to advise anybody who attends an event like this that we are recording you. It would be quite perverse on a security course linked to data protection if we didn't tell you that you are being recorded. So if you wish to mask your identity, I can see that not all the screens are on anyway, you can certainly do that. And we are going to make available to you after today the full recording and of course answer any questions. Well, I'm going to introduce you now briefly to Shekhar Pawar, Dr. Shekhar Pawar. He's an acclaimed expert on cybersecurity and related matters. When I say related matters, I can relate to some of the things that he deals with himself. I teach people about data protection, privacy impact assessments, and there are very complicated regulations on electronic mailings through emails and text message, and I'll say more about those later. So, Shekhar, we are all looking forward to what you're going to say to us, and I'm sure at the end you'll be able to give us the opportunity for some questions. So, Shekhar, the floor or the screen is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, William, and warm welcome to everyone on this call. I guess it's a very good opportunity for me as an author and inventor to explain about my research, BDSLCCI, which is now available as a book on various platforms, and it just got live before a day. So BDSLCCI, before starting with the BDSLCCI introduction, let me introduce a little bit about me. I'm a founder and CEO of GrassDew IT Solutions as well as Security Law Incorporation. And BDSLCCI was my subject of doctorate studies from SSBM Geneva, Switzerland. And BDSLCCI stands for Business Domain Specific Least Cybersecurity Controls Implementation. And I will little bit go through the background and the research about it. So when I conducted the research survey among small and medium enterprises worldwide, uh, I got participation from the 19 countries where top management of small and medium enterprises and small and medium businesses participated. Few countries call small and medium enterprises as a small and medium business, and few countries call it as a SME, small and medium enterprises. Both terms are similar. According to NCSC, 1 out of 2 small and medium enterprise is having chance of getting cyber breach, and 43% of small and medium enterprises are always getting targeted by cyber criminals, which is a very huge number. And if we look at global business statistics or the figures, we will come to know like 90% of the businesses are small and medium enterprises worldwide, which is 400 million small and medium enterprises worldwide, which generate 60 to 70% of employment opportunities, as well as they contribute in 55% of GDP for developed economy. So they are very important for all the global economy or every nation. And 60% of small businesses which undergo cyber attack shut down their business within next 6 months. So that is a very horrible statistic of 2019. And when I got research inputs from the top management of small and medium enterprises from various segments, starting from manufacturing, chemical, pharmaceutical, training institutes, and various IT companies and various domains. More than 19 domains I got inputs. And when I compiled those, I come across all the small and medium enterprises are facing 3 major issues. First thing, the existing standards available in market, it might be ISO 27001, which is Information Security Management System. We call it as ISMS. Or it might be NIST, which is United States leading standard of cybersecurity, talks about critical infrastructure as a critical asset to be protected. And when I got interaction with them, so they are saying the standards available in market are demanding hundreds of controls to be implemented, and those are generic in nature. Those are not business domain specific. So even though you are a pharma company, you are a chemical company, or you are an IT company, you need to implement all those controls which they are asking to get certified or qualify for the certain cybersecurity implementation level. And the three major problems which small and medium enterprises top management told me. A first thing is they don't have enough money, enough resources to implement these cybersecurity standards available in market. Then they don't see any return on investment. Uh, Suppose they are investing certain uh, number of dollars or pounds for implementation of the cybersecurity control. So what will be the return on investment for their business if they implement those certain controls? So they can't see visible return on investment because they can't relate cybersecurity implementation with their business priorities. So, and then they are not having enough skilled resources to implement those cybersecurity controls. So these are the three major problems I identified. Every cybersecurity standard is going to have the core concept of cybersecurity implemented at the heart of it. So it is like confidentiality, integrity, and availability. CIA tried. It is actually the combination of three, and we can't differentiate. We can't actually make it as a separate from each other. It is always going to have some kind of overlap. So confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the critical assets of the company should be maintained. And then only we can say that asset or that digital asset is having security in place, or that the cybersecurity posture of that asset is good. Along with that, companies should have defense in depth mechanism where the mission critical asset is as the core center of the company, and which is protected via different layers of cybersecurity controls. It is like onion model, or we call it as a castle model, and it got invented by United States military before 4 decades around, and it is like the core asset is at the heart of the defense in depth, and it is protected via data layer, application layer, and application layer is hosted in a machine or server, then the network layer, then the physical logical perimeter, and then the human layer, and then the governance layer. So these are the few basic concepts based on that BDSLCCI was designed. And BDSLCCI framework is actually provides you any company as a one-stop solution where it gives stepwise implementation of the controls. And we try to implement both. Mission critical assets are protected via CII tried, and defense in depth is helping overall coverage of the cybersecurity posture throughout the organization. So BDSLCCI is giving business domain specifically cybersecurity controls. It means it is different for pharma company. It provides different set of controls for the pharma company. It provides different set of controls for BSFI company. It gives different set of control for chemical company and IT company. So it means depending on your business domain, the number of cybersecurity controls and order of the cybersecurity control, it changes according to BDSLCCI, and it is easy to use, easy to implement. So it reduces the number of controls to 15 to 40 controls rather than going for hundreds of control, and it gives the return on investment because company can relate it as a uh, valuable return on investment because they are able to see how what is the benefit of implementing it, and it is going to protect their business goals. So that is the objective of business domain specifically cybersecurity control. For example, if you are a manufacturing company, the CNC machines, computer numeric control machines at the shop floor are very important to be protected against cyber attack. Nowadays, cyber attacks are seen among the medical equipments in ICU. Even the school data is getting stolen. Many assets like CNC machines and PLCs are also getting hacked. and operation OT, IoT, industrial IoT, all those things are getting hacked. So their cybersecurity is not only talking about the information, it talks about various aspects of the cyberspace. So BDSLCCI provides business domain specific protection. It is a very big good news for of August 2023, where Indian government has passed Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023. And I guess it is also topic of William. So William can also put some idea on GDPR and other stuff. William?
Yes, of course. And two things strike me to begin with. You talked about the onion slide, showed us the onion slide a moment ago, and your book is based on small and medium enterprises. But I think it's certainly the case that all the transferable lessons and techniques in your book are transferable to charities, they're transferable to community groups that I work with, and if I may say so, they're also transferable to multinational companies. These learning points can go across all sectors. When I see that screen in front of me, the second thing I would say is this. When I spoke right at the beginning, I said, good morning, good afternoon. This is a global village. Well, this is a global village, and data is rather like a river, rather like a wind. It blows across man-made sovereign state boundaries. Data, if you're going to trade with people, if you're going to employ people, one country to the other, if you're going to provide goods, facilities and services, all of those things will require data and information, and it has to be protected. And as I look at that slide in front of me, I notice it's 2023. We've had data protection in this country a little longer, but many of the learning points that we've encountered in the United Kingdom, I can see in the 14 points, the 14 blue points in front of me. Very interesting that you define, look at number 2, a person. In England, in the United Kingdom, we define a person in data protection as a LIP, a living identifiable person. And in our privacy rules, we also have a corporate personality, so we have both. And personal data, and I've got something to show you now, relates to you. All of you, as far as I know, are LIPs. You are living identifiable people. And if there's a breach of data, it can be direct, but it can also be indirect. I'm sitting today in an office deliberately with a notice board behind me. I don't know if you can see it. If I'd have put some telephone numbers on there, or if I'd have put a picture of somebody, you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes. You could put 2 and 2 together and start to identify a living identifiable person. I'm pointing in this direction over here. Over here, there used to be a row of terraced houses. They've all been knocked down bar one. There is one house here in Preston with one postcode. Our postcodes, like your postcodes or zip codes, have 6 characters. The advice we give people is that if you're going to use a postcode, just use the first 3 characters, because if you use all the 6, you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes. You could identify a living identifiable person. I'll stop talking in a second, but just over the page, we've got all those matters in our laws, data protection officers. We also have data protection controllers. And that data protection controller is not a person, it's a corporate personality who's delegated that authority to other individuals. All of you watching this today are data subjects. In England, you will have a secondary data subject. So if you've given a reference for a job, if you've given an emergency contact for health and safety reasons, those people are secondary data subjects. And we also have something called a data processor. That sounds like somebody who's tapping away on the screen, but it isn't. A data processor in England is another organisation acting in accordance with the instructions given to them by the data controller, in your case, the data protection officer. So I see many points of convergence on the screen that's in front of me. And in conclusion, I would just say this to you. You'll see in red at the bottom, it talks about a framework. This subject in England, in India, in any of the Commonwealth countries is not vacuum packed. It's not insulated like a piece of meat. It's directly linked to other laws like employment, like harassment, like the criminal law, a whole range of things. It's a living entity. It sounds like a dry and dusty subject, but it's also about living safely. And that screen in front of you encapsulates some of the things I've just said.
Yep. Yeah, you are right, William. And I also studied the GDPR of EU and
Oh,
the
yes.
California privacy law of United States, which got implemented this year in United States, California. And I
Yes.
guess in my book, I have explained in one of the chapter around 13 countries data privacy law. The GDPR is something which I liked most because it is having good coverage, and many countries now in India also has G20. India is also part of G20. So G20 force all the countries to have digital personal data protection bill to be passed in every country,
Yes.
which is part of G20. And India was working on this since last, I guess, 2 years or during the COVID 2019, I guess, onwards they were working. And these are the few points I brought in front of all of us from the GDPR, the India's DPDP bill, which got passed this month in the parliament. So
Yes.
I guess every country is having their different criterias of data protection. Even Singapore data protection is little bit different, but I guess many of them are following and they are trying to be at the level of GDPR of Europe. So yeah,
Yes, you're
and
quite
in the
right.
BDSLCCI, yeah.
No, I was going to say, you said something a moment ago, you love GDPR. Well, so do I, the General Data Protection Regulation. It's a European directive. Very sad that Britain has left the European Union. But Britain was sensible enough to create a UK Data Protection Act 2 years ago that captures GDPR. So we've still got it. And you will know more about this than me. You talked about a trading agreement. Well, Brazil, India, South Africa, China and Russia talked about Brexit biscuit. You've got a new group that's been set up because of the growing strength of India, China, Russia and Brazil, and they're going to require something akin or similar to what's in front of us here. So things are always changing, aren't they, Shekhar?
All right. True. So yeah, just
Global
moving
thing.
ahead. So as it is one of the picture from my one of the chapter in BDSLCCI book. So it states the three states of the data. So suppose here I'm just, as you knew, I am having good sense of humor like you. But yeah, so if I just represented data as a cat, and data can have three states. It can be at rest, it can be in transit, and it can be in use. Like now we are talking and the data is getting moved from my screen to your screen and to cloud. So it means the data is in transit. Suppose data is, I just save this recording file on my hard disk. It becomes data as a rest, and suppose the data is getting compiled in some processes, it means it is in use. So in this book, as I have created hundreds of such pictorial representation to make it more easy to understand, because this book is going to explain around 633 cybersecurity terms in 334 pages. So it will be more beneficial for even non-IT or the person who don't know anything about the information technology or cybersecurity. He is able to understand what is the meaning of data protection or data states, like that. So as in BDSLCCI, we are treating information as one of the asset, and every company will have different kind of assets depending on their domain, their priority, their goals, and data privacy and data security is we try to cover many of these aspects during the controls configuration in this BDSLCCI framework. So information is just one of the asset, but we are talking about various different assets of cyberspace. So security law is my venture. It started last year end in United States, and it is going to have BDSLCCI as one of its key cybersecurity service, where we are going to help small and medium enterprises and small and medium businesses worldwide to adopt best cybersecurity standards, and which is BDSLCCI. And as I am explaining here, BDSLCCI works in accordance with the top management's goals. So even implementation of defense in depth and confidentiality, integrity, and availability related controls, we are having the list of controls depending on the company in BDSLCCI, and according to the business goals and the implementation criterias and requirement of the company, they will adopt certain controls, and they can even skip or they can add more controls. So we are giving that opportunity to the top management because we are giving them transparency, like they need to protect, say, ERP system, then these are the 10 controls they need to implement. So we are giving the involvement of the top management while taking inputs from the implementation of the cybersecurity in BDSLCCI. And earlier cybersecurity standards which are existing in market are actually having a lot of controls to be implemented, which becomes very costly and resource consuming. But BDSLCCI, as it is talking only about the domain specific controls to be implemented, it reduces cost and it reduces the resources also. So this is one of the sample certificate. I'm just demonstrating here. I'm just showing it here for the reference of the audiences. So after completing, there are 3 levels of the BDSLCCI. Now we are at BDSLCCI 1.0. Suppose there are 3 levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. So here one of the company has achieved level 2. So they get certificate like this, which they can share with their client, and it gives the transcript. So it is like a mark sheet of controls they have implemented and which mission critical assets they have covered in this certificate. So for example, here this company has covered CNC machine and supply chain network. And defense in depth is already going to be there in every BDSLCCI level. And BDSLCCI, along with the certificate, the transcript, PDF, along with that, BDSLCCI also generates an assessment report, which is a very detailed report and in the HTML format, which is live on our website. And only the company who has participated in BDSLCCI can see this report. They can email this report to their customer. They can terminate the sharing also if they don't want to share that report to the particular customer they have shared in past. So there we have taken various considerations while implementing this BDSLCCI platform. As shown here, the BDSLCCI book is having 633 cybersecurity terms explained in it in very much self-explanatory pictures and diagrams. I have worked a lot making it more easy to understand for non-IT or any person, and it is written in a very standard manner. And I have shared the research data also in couple of chapters. So this is the book content. As you can see, there are various chapters, and one of the chapter I would like to specify here is about the six. It also talks about human safety. So even whenever we are implementing any cybersecurity control, it should be protecting the human. It should not be harmful for that control should not be harmful for any of the person who is working in the organization or any living entity. So chapter number 5 is very important according to me while implementing BDSLCCI. For example, if there is a conference, say there is a server room and some few people are working in that server room, because server room is having the limited access, it has some access control, like doors are getting locked and can be only accessed through the fingerprint of the people who has access, or through their ID card, they can enter in the room. And suppose there is some fire or some hazard happen to that environment, the people can't exit from that room because it is a very secured room. Without authentication, they can't exit that room. In that case, what fail safe and fail secure concept tells, like the door should open automatically and people should not get any injury or any life threat. They should safely should exit that premise. Along with that, the data should get secured properly, or it should get damaged instead of getting hacked, physically hacked by someone else. So it is a very interesting chapter. When you people will get this book, you can read it. This book is having around 20 chapters, as I explained. It is 9 by 6-inch dimension book. It is a color paperback book, and it is now available since last couple of days in Kindle ebook and various formats. So to summarize, small and medium enterprises are lagging behind in cybersecurity implementation, according to latest statistics. And then the mission critical asset of the every organization or the business domain, it changes according to their business needs. And mission critical assets can have different weightage of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And small and medium enterprises should get business domain specific minimum cybersecurity controls to be implemented. So these are some few things which is very interestingly written in this book. So when you get chance, you can go through it. So William, anything you want to add?
Well, quite a lot, but I know we're conscious of time. I was very interested in your audit. Audits in this country, all sorts of audits should involve data protection is the same. And your slide shows this, 5 distinct groups: corporate governance, management, thirdly, staff, human resources, and fourthly and fifthly, customer access and customer service involvement. And if you get those 5 things right, you have the hope and perhaps the prospect of doing exactly what chapter 5 of your book is talking about, fail safe. And I was also interested, and I've read some of the book, and I can confirm this, that it's easy to read for the people who are not specialists in this area. It's very difficult sometimes in training courses to explain some of the technicalities. One very simple one is the difference between text data and non-text data. But when you tell people that text data is anything that's written down and non-text data is fingerprints, DNA, and images from CCTV cameras, you then get a picture of how safety becomes paramount. So things like cyberbullying and cyber harassment and stalking and voyeurism and all sorts of things with CCTV cameras and other things, certainly, I'll look in detail at chapter 5, are absolutely about keeping things safe for everybody. And I will be looking in more detail. I have to say to you, you're offering all those different types of book. People who know me will know that I've got lots of books, and when I get your book, I shall get the paperback edition, because I'm not very good with Kindles and all the rest of it. I like a book in front of me, but I was very glad to hear that it's adaptable in many formats.
Same here. Yeah.
Yes. But I've said enough. I must let other people comment.
Yeah, and just to add here, like any small and medium enterprise or an SMB representative can log into our BDSLCCI portal. We have developed AIML platform, BDSLCCI.com, where companies are welcome to join us, and they can utilize the cybersecurity controls and free policy documents and various free things, starting from the vulnerability scanner for their workstations, which is available freely on our website, BDSLCCI.com, once they register. And they can utilize BDSLCCI. Only for the audit, we are charging them a little bit. And we are yet working on various options, how we can make the small and medium enterprises life better. And if anyone want to become member of BDSLCCI as a company, they can they can bring BDSLCCI certification as one of their service as a company, and they can get access from us, they can get training from us, and they can deploy BDSLCCI to their customers. And again, there is an opportunity like the people who are already in the audit work or who are graduated and they willing to be auditor in the cybersecurity. So we have designed courses for them so as they can become BDSLCCI auditor, and as a freelancer, they can work with secure cloud. So we have created various logins and various trainings for all these different kind of roles and members.
Right, interesting. My Indian friends are always asking me to go to India, so it looks like there might be a freelance auditor's job going there.
Right. So this is the QR code at the bottom. You can scan it and you can go to the BDSLCCI book website at Notion Press, from where you have various options to navigate to Amazon International or Flipkart or Kobo, and you can download or read the book. So I guess that is what I wanted to share today. And William, if you want to add something.
Well, I've spoken for long enough. I will say a couple of things later, but we ought to invite some of the other people here to ask you any questions or make any points. Anybody like to come in now? Any questions?
Yep, please. Any questions, please add in the question Q&A. So we would like to answer it.
Any thoughts? And I imagine if there aren't any immediate questions, there's a chat facility here and people can put those questions and you'll get back to them, I guess. Yes, so that's an alternative. Well, I have some breaking news. Breaking news for some of you. I mentioned India earlier. You probably know that the Prime Minister, the British Prime Minister, and Mr. Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, are going to meet very shortly, and it looks as though a free trade agreement is on the cards. Now, if it is, it'll be around visas and all sorts of other things. You can bet your bottom dollar that data protection and the sort of things that Shekhar has spoken about will have to be threaded into that free trade agreement. And all the predictions are that India is going to be one of the first countries to engage with the United Kingdom outside the European framework that we used to have. So watch this space. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I ought to give you, Shekhar, the last word, and then you could perhaps say something about how people can evaluate this session. Shekhar.
Dr. Shekhar.
Yeah, hi, Anil.
Sorry to interrupt you guys. I have a question, if you please allow me to ask.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to take an opportunity to thank Dr. Shekhar for sharing his experience and this insightful presentation with us. And again, my friend William for inviting me and the other participants who are joining us as well. So my name is Anil Walia, and from 5+ years, I've been working with startups, both in India as well as globally. So based on your book and your insights you shared, what are the top 2 or 3 points of advice you recommend that I should be sharing with these startups regarding the cybersecurity and related topics covered in your book?
Yeah, thank you, Anil, for this good question. So as you must be knowing, like there are various standards available in market, starting from ISO 27001, which is ISMS or NIST, or various like PCI DSS and various compliances. And as a startup, the companies are very not having enough funds, or they don't have enough resources to go ahead with the bigger standards directly. So this BDSLCCI allows you to implement cybersecurity stage-wise. It means which control should be implemented first in your organization, which should be second, which should be third. So we have given the entire sequence of the controls in ascending order of implementation based on your business domain. And it is not just hypothetical. It is having some research data, which I have placed in the BDSLCCI book also. So it is not just hypothetical that you need to have antivirus first or firewall first. So there is a background behind that, why we are saying like you should protect this component first and then the second, because we are daily analyzing more than dozen cyber attacks. I myself, I'm involved in more than 100 clients internationally, providing them cybersecurity assessment, audits, and solutions. So we read dozens of attacks every day, and we study how the ransomware attack is changing his behavior and how the sophisticated attacks are happening. So we are putting those uh, controls in the place, and it is always going to be changed. Like this year we are having BDSLCCI 1.0, and next year we will be having BDSLCCI 2.0, and there will be changes because as this domain, cybersecurity domain, is very dynamic, it changes every day. If I will give you an example of ransomware attack happening before pandemic, it was just the hackers were encrypting the machines and they were asking you ransom to get decryption key. During pandemic, there is a little bit change. They became more advanced. What they did, they are stealing your data from your machines. They're keeping the backup with them. Then they are encrypting your machine. They are asking you to pay for the decryption key for your machine's data. And the second time, once you pay them, they will ask you to pay again because they will say, we have your data backup and we will put it on dark web for the sale. Okay, so that we call it as a double extortion. And since last year, there is another triple extortion happened, where after these two extortions, hackers are also saying like, we have all your IP addresses, all your infrastructure access, everything with us because we already hacked your systems. So we will conduct denial of service attacks and various attacks. So pay us again to avoid such disruptions in your service. So it is known as triple extortion. So you can see as we are moving in ChatGPT, AI, similar way, parallel to that, or more faster than that, hackers are moving in the depth of cyber attacks, right? So cyber attacks are becoming more and more sophisticated. So it is not possible to just sustain one cybersecurity implementation flow. We should have some dynamic implementation every after few months because it is changing. WannaCry is very old story now. Now there are various ransomware gangs and they are having different techniques. So for startups, you should say to start with cybersecurity implementation, just go with BDSLCCI level 1 initially, which will have only 10 to 15 controls to be implemented. But they will get some assurity, like they will not get hacked easily. Every cybersecurity standard available in market is going to lower the risk. No one, even the zero trust, can't guarantee like there will be zero risk. There will be always lower risk. So we are going to lower the risk, and we are studying. My team is continuously studying every day how to do betterment in the cybersecurity implementation via BDSLCCI platform. Second thing, you should tell startups like rather than investing more in cybersecurity implementation, implement which is needed right now. Because you are at small level, you have dozens of employees. You are at initial level. You can't just put lakhs of rupees or millions of dollars in implementing cybersecurity because you are already having you are lagging in the funds, right? So that is one area. Third area is they don't have IT guy always working with them, or the cybersecurity person, they can't hire them. So they don't have resources. So it is better to go stage-wise. So that is the entire study what I did. I guess I answered you, Anil.
No, that's good.
No,
thank you.
That was really helpful. Thanks for sharing those insights. And I really got to learn a few things already. So thank you very much for that.
And
Thanks,
just
Anil.
as you were speaking, two questions have just come through on the chat facility about the audit that you mentioned. Two questions. How long do the audits last, and are they online or offline, Shekhar?
Yeah. So we have auditor training, 1 day auditor training, and then we have few demonstration, which the candidate should undergo to understand BDSLCCI platform, and some kind of workshop, and then they can undergo 30-question exam, and then if they qualify it, the 70% is the passing, and once they qualify it, they will get certificate.
And is it online or offline?
It is online right now, because
Online.
we are promoting BDSLCCI in
Yes.
many countries, so it is now online. But with the time, I guess William or few of such leaders in the training domain probably join us, and then we will have offline.
Yes. Well, I hope that's answered whoever put the question in the chat facility. I can't see any other questions in the chat. I'll just ask the audience here if they've any other issues to raise. Doesn't look like so. Shekhar, it's time just to hand over to you for the closing remarks and then tell people about the evaluation. So again, over to you, Shekhar.
Yeah, thank you, William. So I guess the BDSLCCI is not just cybersecurity standard. It is throughout the time. Means I am working in cybersecurity since years, and I have international experience, mostly working with United States and European clients. And I learned many things, being expert in teleservices, telecom domain, programming. I'm a very good programmer, and I'm also cybersecurity expert. Work with government and various such projects, and so this is the combination of various knowledge and various aspects of the cybersecurity which I learned, and I prone it publishing it this research internationally. It got published by one of the research book published by Emerald Publishing UK on digitalized global economy. So this book got released after 15 months in May 29th this year, and it is available in all the countries in the central libraries and many places. Secondly, it got published in the Elsewhere journal, JJIMEI, which is an international highly indexed journal, and it is getting read. Hundreds of people are reading it internationally, the researchers, and they are giving citation to my research. So it is very valuable research, and it is not uh, 1 day outcome. I spent around more than 3-4 years just to implement BDSLCCI platform and this research to get accepted in the market. So, my last words is like all the companies, starting from the schools, institutes, manufacturing company, any organization who is willing to be cyber secured, they are welcome to join BDSLCCI, and they can stepwise they can go ahead with the BDSLCCI implementation. It is now freely available. Only for the audit we are charging little bit, but the platform is freely available for anyone who is having any organization who is working in the organization. So they can log in, they can create login, they can utilize BDSLCCI.com, and they can learn, they can download pre-policies, pre-posters. They will start getting pre-threat notification from us and various such things. So our vision is to cyber secure small and medium enterprises, which is 90% of the business population. And I guess many of you can also join us as a family, BDSLCCI family, to take it ahead and take it to every company in this world.
Okay, thank you. And I think you're going to tell people about how this session is going to be evaluated. People can access a feedback form, can't they?
Yeah, we have already added it in the chat. So I would like to have your feedback form filled by everyone.
All right. Well, if there aren't any further questions, for myself and for everybody here, Shekhar, I want to thank you very much indeed for your time. And from Shekhar and for me, to Shekhar, thank you very much for this. I'm sure other people would have joined us. We had 68 people recorded, but it was all done at the last minute. So perhaps we could offer them a second showing of this or show them the recording. So from Preston, goodbye, good morning, and hope to see you again on another occasion. Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you very much, William. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.